Hello, you're welcome. Certificate is not the greatest asset any university can give you as a student or as a graduate. Now, it's not that certificate that is on a paper, maybe A4 paper, with the logo of the university and the signature of the vice chancellor. No, no, no. That is not the greatest asset you can finish with from any university. I'll quickly tell you that asset, then maybe the factors that affect that asset, and then three ways you can actually build or rebuild that asset. The greatest assets you can graduate with from any higher institution is your self-confidence. That belief that you are capable. If you are finished from any university, or you're about to finish, or you are in the university and you keep feeling that you are not capable, is a big blow on your education, which you need to be deliberate to tackle. If you don't tackle it and you finish from the university, is a big blow on your education. That belief that you are capable to deliver at a task, that is one of the greatest assets you can finish with from any higher institution. Of course, many of our universities are structured to challenge this asset, deliberately or directly or indirectly, structured that way. Maybe the first day you started school and you just started registration, you are trying to find a point from where you begin to register your courses or take the necessary step, and it becomes difficult to know what to do. And then you approach the first person to say, please, where do I do this? You may be surprised the person is not polite or kind to you. And then you become afraid on what next to do. If you are not careful, you see yourself making mistakes and beginning to wonder what is happening in this institution. You are thrown like somebody dropped in a sea without compass or direction or where to go to. All right? So these challenges are there, and they are structured to defeat your confidence. Only those who are able to sustain, to maintain this confidence until graduation becomes actually the champions. They may not finish with the best of results, but you see them being capable and being able to champion what they believe in. That is why I'm bringing this message to you. It's important you build your confidence, you protect your confidence, all right? Otherwise, if you have finished without this confidence, you may need to go and rebuild it. Okay? Some of the factors that affect or challenge confidence for students in the university are things like maybe difficult courses you offer. Suddenly, they are giving you one particular course, you are not so conversant with the course, and then you are so afraid whether you do well. That becomes part of the blow on your confidence. Your ability to tell yourself that whatever happens, I will still pass this course. I will, since others are able to pass it, I will. And you maintain that confidence, you will do well. Or maybe you just did your first year and then results are being released, and suddenly you begin to see unexpected grade. You are expecting very high grade and you begin to see something very, very low. That could be a big blow on your self-confidence. And for some people, they are not able to quickly recover from such blow. There was this very bad case of a student who enrolled for medical, medicine and surgery in a high institution somewhere in Nigeria. Very brilliant guy. He did his first year course, and the entire university, if you fail any one course, you repeat the whole first year for medical students. So he did his first year, result came out, he had a lot of A's. But unfortunately, one physics course, he had a poor result there. He failed the course. And so he was required to repeat that course. It became a big blow on this guy, very big one. It so affected him that he became depressed. He didn't repeat that first year. He didn't join his set to enter into second year. He was in the university hostel, depressed for a whole session. His mate entered third year while he was still yet to do that first year. It became a big blow. Somebody drew my attention to his case, and we tried to see how to help him. And this guy was depressed. I understood him. He couldn't tell his parents. According to him, his father happens to be a first man, who was actually in the battlefield. So he felt it would destabilize the man if he hears that he couldn't pass first year. But at a certain point, I had to reach out to his father to see how to support him. And then his father told me how brilliant his son had always been. In the secondary school, he made wonderful grades. But here in the university, he actually made good grades. But he failed one course, maybe by error or something. When we tried to follow up the matter, the university said when a student has not enrolled in a session and did not defer that session, it is considered as a voluntary withdrawal. So his admission was no longer valid. It was a very bad one. We thought of what to do. I told him, no, you can't give up. Go and write another JAMB. He did. And then the result came out. Incidentally, he also didn't enter. JAMB is an entrance exam into universities in Nigeria. All right. He scored very below, few points below the cutoff point for students that are admitted. And so he wasn't lucky. I told him, okay, go and do pre-degree program. He enrolled in pre-degree program, and I'm happy he's back to studying medicine and surgery in another university anyway. But why am I saying that this could be a big blow if care is not taken and you are not able to recover from a failure, poor grade? It can destabilize a student. So I want to encourage you, if you're in the university and you're already experiencing poor grade actually doesn't mean you are not intelligent. No, I think you are very, very intelligent. It means that there's something you didn't learn, or maybe the system has a challenge anyway. Because there was another case of a young guy, and then he was also in medical college, and then he wrote the exam. It was a CBT, computer-based exam, and then he had very good grades, but he came to physics. The assessment they gave them, he did so well, over 30, and then by the exam he scored 0 over 70. And so the university decided to investigate what happened, only to saw that the system shut down while this young man was yet to submit. Well, on a passionate ground, they granted him a pass, and so he joined his set. Okay, so in that case, the system was at fault. But even if it's not the system, that you fail exam doesn't mean that you're a failure. No, it's not. Failing the exam only means that there are something you didn't learn well, which you need to go and learn. So you sit up and go and learn that thing. Okay? Another thing that can affect the self-confidence of a student is like meeting difficult staff in the university. Very difficult staff. There are some people that wouldn't want to give you audience, and then a simple thing they could do for you, they want to make it very difficult, and then that could be a big blow on your self-confidence. And if you're not careful, you start feeling that you are inferior, but you are not. You are not. Okay? Or the peer pressure. You may have some friends who make you feel that you are inferior, that they are from rich family, you are not the same class, and all of that. Education is capable of leveling up everybody. Okay? So if you have friends who try to look down on you, despise you, make you feel inferior, the best you could do is to keep them aside, because they are attacking one of your greatest assets as a person. It has a lot to do with your success in future. For graduate students, some of the challenges they could face is when a graduate student has come out from the university with a very poor cumulative grade point, final grade point, and it's not a very good one. Maybe in some countries they call it third class, and you've graduated with third class. That is a very big blow. That does not mean you're a failure, please. Don't misunderstand me. It's a big blow on your greatest asset. I had this friend who actually finished with third class, and he finished with third class, but he told himself that he's not a third class candidate. That he tried to push, he tried to support his asset, this confidence. And so he was enrolled in National Youth Service, and luckily then he was sent to serve with a commercial bank in Nigeria. And then the commercial bank sent him to serve in their training school. So he was there, basically helped arrange the projectors, arrange the ICT for the facilitators that come to train the newly recruited staff. Having been there for some time, one day he approached one of the facilitators and said, "Sir, your next topic is an interesting one. If you don't mind, I will be glad to handle that course for you." See this guy, somebody called third class graduates, okay? And then he is here. And a lot of people who did very well in the university have been recruited by this very dynamic, commercial bank in Nigeria. And then he was bold enough to approach the facilitator to say, look, I am able to handle your course. That is what I call self-confidence. I can handle your next topic. The man said, okay, that's fine. So you can prepare. So this guy went and did a very good presentation. Little did he know that was going to mark him out. The day of the lecture, he came in the class and then started off the lecture. Of course, he was not wearing his uniform as somebody in National Youth Service. He dressed very well, very corporate. Your dressing is also part of something that speaks volume about your self-confidence. I see a lot of young ladies who are dressing so indecently. And for me, what it means is that they don't believe in themselves. Many of them lack self-confidence. It's this emptiness they try to fill by trying to dress in a way that will catch attention. No. If you see someone who has self-confidence, the person will always want to dress well, dress decently. Okay? So this guy dressed so well that day, and then he began to deliver the lecture very professionally. And he didn't know when the MD of the bank, the MD, managing director, not the branch manager, managing director, stepped into the class and sat at the back. After listening for a while, he was so impressed, she was so impressed with the young man's presentation. They called the facilitator and said, who is this guy? I don't know. And they said, oh, madam, sorry, he's one of the young men sent to our branch for National Youth Service. He just begged to help me facilitate my class. And then I gave him the podium. I think he's impressive. The woman said, this guy is fantastic. He called me and said, young guy, when you finish, see me in the office before you leave. When he finished, he went to see the woman. The woman asked a few questions. I said, can you submit your CV to me? He submitted his CV, and then the woman said, you pick your appointment letter the following week. The following week he came. In the banking sector in Nigeria, normally they have graduates, they have entry point, they call them executive trainee, and then you have assistant banking officer, then you have a banking officer, and you grow in that cadre. So he was training executive trainee. When he came to collect appointment letter, this woman had given him banking officer position, not graduate executive trainee, not assistant banking officer, banking officer. And her position, her belief is that he will help us to be training our new recruits staff, newly recruited staff. And so I needed to step him up so that he won't be at the same cadre with them. And that was how this guy, who graduated from accountancy in one of the universities in Nigeria with third class, became a bank staff while he was yet to finish his NYSC, National Youth Service. That is what confidence, self-confidence can do for someone. So, graduating with a poor result from the university is not a death sentence. It's only a big blow on you. And if you will be able to resist that blow and forge ahead with the confidence that you are capable, I bet you the sky will not just be your limit, it will just be a stepping stone. Okay, another challenge graduates could have, who in terms of self-confidence, is the fact that by the time you graduate as a student, you tend to lose what I call student immunity. As a student, in most cases, students have this immunity they enjoy. Once you say you're a student, you're exempted from a lot of things. But once you are no longer in the school, that immunity is dropped. In some places where they have National Youth Service, like in Nigeria, the NYSC tends to give you another immunity that you run for the period of your National Youth Service, which is in most cases 12 months. And once that is done, the immunity is dropped. You're exposed to the wider society. And then your self-confidence will be further challenged. And if you're not able to stand it, you begin to see yourself as a failure. And that could go a long way, affecting a lot of things. Of course, the fact that there are few employment opportunity and a lot of people who are looking for this job is also another blow. And that has made some people not to have this drive to seek for employment. Most of the jobs I did before I joined the university, I actually saw them on the pages of newspapers. I prepared my application letter and I submitted and I got them. That actually began to happen when I had an experience. When I graduated, I did my NYC and then did my master's. But then it was applying, I wasn't getting good jobs until I met someone. he looked at me and said, young man, the job you're applying for here, you actually deserve more than that, and I'm not going to give you the job. I see the challenge you have in getting employment. Your CV is not a winning CV. If not that somebody referred you to me and I looked at this your CV, I would have trashed it here immediately. All right? So there's something you need to do on your CV. Do it, apply to where you want to work, you'll get the job. Friends, I went and I did that, and I got 2 jobs, and I had to pray to decide on which one to go for. When I was done with that job and I applied elsewhere, I saw opportunities on newspaper, I applied, I got 2 opportunities again. I had to pray to decide on which to go for. And that has been working for me since then. All right? You want to know that trick? Sorry. There's a video I made on how to design a winning CV. The link is on this video. Click on that link and watch that thing. You see how to prepare CV. Whether you're a fresh graduate or experienced trainee, a experienced hired person, and you want to package your CV in a way that the recruiting manager will see, they won't want to drop it until they call you. Check that video. The link is here. Watch it and then share with other friends. Okay? So these are things that can be a big blow on maybe your confidence as a student or as a graduate. Now, there are 3 things I want to tell you on how to make sure you build this confidence, or you rebuild it. If you had it before and it's been defeated, you may need to rebuild it, like broken walls. Some of my friends were discussing things around broken walls. Well, it has to do with our Christian faith anyway. So there could be broken wall in your self-confidence that need to be rebuilt. There are many factors or many ways you can rebuild it. I just want to mention 3 of them and I'll be fine. The first one is to acknowledge that your confidence is your greatest asset. If you know that that is your greatest asset, you'll be careful to protect it. Okay? Number 2 is to protect it. When you acknowledge that it is your greatest asset, then you'll be very, very deliberate to protect it. If it means stepping away from certain friends who are attacking it, you will do that. Okay, protect it. When you see a failure situation, something that looks like failure, rather see it as a learning process than a failure, so that you can pick the lessons and continue. One of my very good friends, senior colleague, someone that's mentored me, he told me recently that there's no failure in life. I said, sir, it sounds strange. How do you mean that there's no failure in life? He said, well, there is no failure. That every experience that looks like failure are learning opportunities. And I want to tell you that that thing you think is a failure is only a learning opportunity. Learn what you need to learn from that opportunity and move on. And then the last thing I just want to tell you is to become very, very deliberate to build your confidence, or to rebuild your confidence. Become deliberate about it. There are books, inspirational books you can read to rebuild or to build your confidence. You can also keep supportive friends around you. Those friends that are attacking your self-confidence, keep them aside and pick up friends who are willing to very, very, very supportive. People I call your asset, your social asset. Okay, your social asset will go a long way to support you. All right, your social asset will go a long way to support you. And then the other one is to develop the relevant skills. All right, you may need to develop certain skills that are relevant, related skills. If, for instance, you study economics like myself, you may want to develop skills on analysis, or you studied computer science, develop skills on programming or networking. When you develop skills, your ability to do something, will go a long way boosting your confidence. If you do all these 3, 1, acknowledging that your self-confidence is your greatest asset, 2, being very deliberate to protect it, to guard it, especially the one in your heart. That disposition that keeps making you feel that you're a failure, guard it. Speak. See me saying speak. Speak to yourself. Yes, it's important. Sometimes there was this experience I had in the university. I took one particular course in my second year, and then I was expecting not a very good grade, because I know I had challenge writing that course. The result came as I had F. I failed it. Oh my God! It was a big blow on me. Big blow. I had to tell myself why I was looking at that result. I do not know whatever that happened. But what I know is that I will come back to you. I will retake this course and I will return with an A. to speak out that way to make sure it doesn't depress me, it doesn't make me feel that I've failed. And then that was what happened. I went and retook that course, and by God's grace I got an A in that course. All right, so protect it. The disposition of your heart matters a lot. When you see somebody who is not positive minded, somebody who feels he's a failure, it becomes difficult to help that individual. And then the last one, like I mentioned earlier, is to become very intentional in building or rebuilding your confidence. You can read books, you keep supportive friends, and then you build relevant skills. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you the very, very best. Please share this with friends, students who are in the university. If students in the university know this earlier before they graduate, it becomes a guide. Information is power. It helps them, prepares them for the reality they will face after university. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Cheers.